This year as an outspoken guy, you guys had a lot of team meetings and just conversations on how you guys can get better. Now looking back on it fully throughout the season, just where do you guys feel like you fell short? Is it just the way you guys went about it? Is it just lapses in certain games? Where do you think it's at?
I would say it was probably, I think everybody would agree we were pretty inconsistent this year, just as far as aggression and physicality and stuff like that. And we had a lot of lapses late in games and lost some games that we should have won. So it's definitely, I think, areas that we all know that we can be better in.
Last year at these exit interviews, you kind of expressed how much you wanted to be here and the importance of, or you letting yourself get close with this team. And how do you feel like that impacted this season and you guys continued to grow on that family environment?
I think it helped out a lot. For me personally, I was able to, have more in-depth relationships with some of the guys and the coaching staff and stuff like that. And felt like they looked at me as somebody with a voice and trying to, be accountable and be a leader for the team. So definitely helped out a lot, and I still feel the same way that I did last year about this team, about this city. So.
Trey, kind of following up on that, Malik spoke earlier during his exit interview that you and him kind of were those vocal leaders on this group. What kind of went into you kind of taking on that kind of a role, and just kind of speak on how important it is for a team that's up and coming and has high ambitions to have those kind of people in the locker room?
I think it's easy for Malik because he's just an outgoing, charismatic guy. For me personally, I just saw it as an opportunity to hold guys accountable and hold myself accountable and kind of be a voice for a team that we really didn't have like a lot of outspoken guys. We have leaders that lead by example, but it's nice for some of the other guys to hear it from other players and take some of that stress off of those guys that are leading in other areas. So I think it was really big and important for both of us to do that and for the team to look at us and us be able to do that for each other.
And also, Coach oftentimes spoke about the next man up mentality, especially with the injuries kind of late in the year. Especially when Malik went down, you just were coming off your knee injury as well, and you played very well coming off the bench and finished the rest of the season as well. Just kind of talk about that approach for you and maybe how contagious that kind of can be for a team in terms of having that approach, that next man up mentality, and what it can kind of do for a group.
It's a mentality I think a lot of teams have, and a lot of guys have to, stay focused on. I said it earlier in one of the media things that we had a resilient group. I think guys that were able to step up and fill voids after not playing 40, 50 games, whatever it was, and really go out there and show that they continue to work and stay engaged. So it's definitely something that's going to continue on for us in the future. Just everybody being ready for the opportunity, but hopefully next year will be a little less injury ridden as we were this year, especially late in the season.
Hey Trey, I know certainly there's disappointment for not having made the playoffs. I think people might define that in different ways. I'm wondering how you define it. Is it failure to succeed upon what you guys did last year, or are there enough kind of benchmark improvements that you saw with this group and maybe even individually that make it not that failure?
I wouldn't say a failure, but it's definitely a disappointment. Coming off the year that we had last year, I think we all expected a little bit more this year, and I would say the injuries and kind of like self-inflicted wounds hurt us a lot, and I think we realized that, and it's definitely something for us to learn from for next season. And I think we have a group of guys that will learn from it, and when those opportunities next year present themselves, we're gonna approach it in a different manner, in a more professional and aggressive manner for us to not make the same mistakes that we did this year.
Trey, you just said it that you and Malik were the guys that stepped up and talked this year. Do you think this group needs another person like that added to the team to be able to hold people accountable, or is there enough people on this team to be able to do that?
I think there's enough people. Like I said, there's guys that lead by example. I think the coaches hold us to a high standards, and everybody respects one another. So, you don't want to have too many guys talking in a locker room, because then things can conflict. But I think we're all on a great page, and sure, if somebody else wants to step up and say something, we all have enough respect for one another to respect what they're saying and listen and go out there and do that. So.
Trey, you just talked about accountability, and I know there was a few times when Malik said was holding him accountability as far as coming in and energy and missing a defensive assignment. What was it like playing with him and, you know, and that his future might be a little bit murky around Sacramento, but it could be better in other places. But what is it like, you know, playing with a guy like that and knowing that you could, you know, go to him and say, hey, you know, this is something you're not doing right, we need to do better, and those type of things?
It's great, you know, I think me and Malik have a good relationship, so we were able to talk to one another, how maybe some other guys wouldn't be able to talk to each other, but we both know that it was coming from a good place, and we just wanted each other to be better. And then just playing with him on the court, you know, it's an experience, it's a great experience. He's a guy that's able to make his teammates around him better, and kind of lift up the spirits of the team offensively, defensively, and we know he's gonna go out there and beat Malik, so when you know you can count on somebody to be their self all the time, it's always helpful to have that kind of teammate.
Obviously, the season didn't end the way you guys wanted, obviously at the end of a play-in or, you know, that final stretch, the final road series, and the home games. But how do you feel about the kind of the brand of basketball that you guys played at the end, carrying that over through an off-season into next season and kind of starting out like that? Do you think that will lead to just, you know, even if the same group were to come back, do you think that would lead to an improvement in the record?
I do. I think the last 10, 15, 20 games we were playing a lot more physical than we were earlier in the season. I think it showed on the court. And just like our defense was a lot better, I think, down the stretch in a lot of key moments. So I think if we can come into next season with the same attitude that this season ended on, I think we'll be all right.
Anything else? Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Trey.
All right, Trey.